This is Javed Rana directly reporting from Pakistan's capital Islamabad. In Pakistan, there is general elections which have taken place after a lot of delays, and we have seen that there is an element of festive activities across Pakistan, though there have been some terrorist attacks in parts of Pakistan. Nonetheless, by and large, there is a smooth sailing. People are going to the polling stations. They are they are casting vote of the candidate of their choice. But also there are troubling reports which are coming, particularly from Pakistan's biggest city of Karachi, that some of the polling staff, they have not reached to the polling stations. People have been lining up, waiting for the polling staff to cast their vote. But there seems to be a method in the madness. There have been credible accusations against countries' military and secret services that they've been manipulating general elections, and this may be a part of a bigger game plan. But by and large, I think against the expectations of the mainstream political parties, and particularly against the expectation of military and secret services, there appears to be a reasonably high turnout. What does it mean? Maybe 50%, maybe 60%, 70% at this particular point of time. We cannot predict, but it seems to be reasonable. But remember, in Pakistan, for last 1.5 years, there has been consistent efforts on the part of almost all political parties on one side, military on one side, military and secret services on one side, country's election commission on one side, country's judiciary on one side, and the jail leader, the most popular leader, Imran Khan, is on the other side. Even his own party was also on the other side. Mainstream leaders of his party deserted him. He has been jailed on flimsy corruption charges, on flimsy treason charges, which does not make sense at all. That is simply mockery of the justice. Nonetheless, going by all the surveys, Imran Khan is the most popular leader. But now we have seen that over the period of time, particularly during last couple of months, in a very systematic manner, his political party, known as Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, was disfranchised by the top court, the Supreme Court of Pakistan, allegedly in league with country's powerful military generals and intelligence officials. As a result, now, these are the loyalists of Imran Khan who are contesting elections, not his party. So basically, the very purpose was that in a country like Pakistan, where illiteracy is prevalent, political parties are given by the election commission some symbols, like Imran Khan's party had the symbol of a bat, the quickening bat. That was snatched by the top of the Supreme Court on technical grounds, apparently in violation of country's constitution. But because of political consideration, it seems there is a method in the madness. All the efforts on the part of powerful militaries are to create conditions, and which they successfully created during last couple of months particularly, but over the period of last 1.5 years, whereby they are trying to prop up the political parties which are more acceptable to the West, or political parties which are largely perceived to be thoroughly corrupt, and which are largely perceived to be responsible for unprecedented price hike and misgovernance in Pakistan. The military, it seems, is struggling hard to bring them back in power. Now, the people of Pakistan, majority of the people, they are totally against the idea of bringing any political party in power other than Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf of jail leader Imran Khan. As a matter of fact, Pakistan's election is a kind of a competition between people of Pakistan, led by Imran Khan, and country's powerful military, its intelligence network, and blue-eyed political leaders, which are the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, his younger brother Shehbaz Sharif. One of them is what is being largely believed is going to be elected as the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. That is not what people of Pakistan seems to be wanting to happen, but that is what Pakistan's military want. Now, the bigger trouble is for the military that how would they manage this election, because they have been working overnight for the last 1.5 years to create conditions where people are disappointed and they do not come on the polling station to cast vote, because once a political leader is disqualified, once a political leader is convicted, as in case of Imran Khan, so the general perception within the policymaker was that the people would not turn out in large number, and when people would not turn out in a large number, so rest of the voters, there will be bogus voting. And that, I think, there will be a bigger challenge for the military of how to handle this situation, because traditionally they have been rigging general elections, they have been making and breaking governments, and this time around it seems it will be the most difficult for the military to make a government which has been which may not be necessarily liked by the people of Pakistan. Now it seems that there is a huge turnout, that there is a possibility that the independent candidates belonging to the former Prime Minister Imran Khan could possibly win. But that largely depends in what manner once elections conclude, in what manner the votes are counted. In Pakistan, people generally complain that they cast vote in favor of one particular party, but at the end of the day, they found that their vote was cast in another party. So it is what matters in Pakistan is not how people are cast vote or in whose favor they cast vote. What matters is what happens once these voting process conclude, and I think we need to keep an eye on in Pakistan what happens after 5 p.m. in Pakistan, because once the counting process starts, mostly what we have been hearing in the past and what has been the track record, there have been multiple stamps on the ballot papers which have to be rejected. In this particular case, this could be the ballot papers of the independent candidates belonging to the jail popular leader Imran Khan. So let's see how things unfold, but kind of the turnout that we have witnessed now, that does indicate that there may be a surprise for powerful military generals. There may be kind of election results which they do not like. But remember, they have shut down the entire telephone network. The mobile network have been shut down. The data network on which internet is connected wirelessly, that has been shut down. This is a day when the internet is needed the most. The justification that the government has come up with, the hand-picked government of military, it has come up with, they are saying there is a security threat. Security threat is there in very remote regions of Pakistan. It is not there in the urban regions. But the track record has been that whenever the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the party of Imran Khan, they go for some sort of a YouTube live speeches, because they were banned to hold rallies by and large. There has been internet disconnection in Pakistan. So planning, it seems, appears that perhaps by disconnecting these internet connections, they are hitting hard the coordinations among the political agents and the voters and the political parties. And the very purpose is basically to discourage voters to turn up on the polling station. And then we have also seen a lot of violence that during last couple of days and couple of weeks, some of the candidates, particularly one candidate in Pakistan's northwestern province, he was killed, and there were similar complaints that the candidates who were loyal to the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, they were detained, their family members were kidnapped, they were forced to change their loyalties even after they started their election campaign. They were, as a matter of fact, by and large, they were not allowed to contest, to hold election campaign. And this is unprecedented in the history of Pakistan, that the intelligence agencies have been brazenly operating on the streets of Pakistan through police and sometimes directly kidnapping candidates, forcing them to switch over their loyalties to the parties of their own choice. And similarly, there have been also incidents where the houses of the candidates of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, their other leaders, were stormed and bulldozed. their sons of the candidates were kidnapped so that they could be forced to switch over their loyalties and desert Imran Khan. Nonetheless, that we have seen that Imran Khan, despite the fact that he's in jail, he seems to have built up a new political party whereby he has given party tickets at least to those candidates who seems to be loyal to him. So there are many ifs and buts what is going to happen in Pakistan. Now, bigger question that everybody outside Pakistan would like to know, why Pakistan military is doing so? Why they are picking and choosing leaders of their own choice? This has been happening for the last 75 years. But I think this time around, it seems, apart from the domestic problems, apart from the personalized problem between the military chief and the jail leader Imran Khan, I think there is also a domestic scene. There is more importantly a regional and international scene. The West does not like Imran Khan. The reason being is that Imran Khan he wants to have an independent foreign policy. He refused to the Americans to set up military bases inside Pakistan to carry out attack in Afghanistan, from where Americans and NATO were disgracefully exit just 2 years ago. Taliban are there back in the government. So Imran Khan refused that, and similarly Imran Khan visited Moscow on very day when President Putin launched a war against Ukraine, and that was perceived in Washington that as if so-called Pakistan's non-NATO ally is going to switch over its alliance to the Russia and the Chinese bloc. And I think because of those reasons, the Americans threatened Pakistan's military that if you don't remove Imran Khan, if you don't overthrow his government, you will have to face consequences. What I'm telling you, it is based on a diplomatic cable which Pakistan's then ambassador in 2022 wrote to its foreign office, telling that the Americans are threatening, they want the removal of the Imran Khan's government. And then after a couple of days and weeks, we witnessed that the Imran Khan's government was removed, apparently through a constitutional means like through no confidence motion. But behind that scene, it was the military which forced his allies and his members of the parliament to switch over their loyalties. And then the US embassy and US diplomatic missions in Pakistan, they were also very active. There were credible reports, accusations suggesting that the US diplomats were also engaged in changing the government of the then Prime Minister Imran Khan. In that context, we have seen that the military has gone out of the way to make it sure that Imran Khan does not return to power. He is largely seen somebody who is more like President Tayyip Erdogan because he is representing the right wing, and he is posturing himself that he represents Muslim Ummah. He speaks for the causes, Palestinian cause, he speaks for Kashmir cause, and then very importantly, Imran Khan resisted pressure from the US, from the Saudi Arabia, from the Israel to normalize ties with an apartheid state. Imran Khan said that he would never do it, something Pakistan's military wanted him to do. So I think that is also one of the lingering reasons because of which Pakistan military doesn't want an independent political leader. The Americans don't want an independent political leader. I think the real problem lies with Pakistan military and not with the US, because this is the same military which actually hobnobbed with the Taliban. They provided them shelters, helped them to stay in Pakistan, and those Taliban were attacking NATO forces inside Afghanistan because Pakistan didn't want Americans to have its military presence in Afghanistan. Is that Americans were supporting India, India was sponsoring terrorism in Pakistan. So in that context, if Pakistan can confront behind the scene to the US, can damage its strategic interest in Afghanistan, it could have withstood the pressure from the Americans. But military journals have their personalized interest, going by the accusation by Imran Khan himself that the current military chief has a personal enmity with him because he had sacked him as a chief of an intelligence agency. So I think it was also, frankly speaking, unfair on the part of Imran Khan to sack the intelligence head because he was just reporting that his family members were involved in corruption. Nonetheless, now we have seen that there are combination of factors that the government which followed Imran Khan, it was government of the Sharif family, the former Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Shehbaz Sharif, in league with his elder brother Nawaz Sharif, who was elected as a three-time Prime Minister, they actually appointed a man, a military general, as an army chief who was personally opposed to Imran Khan. So it's a combination of domestic factors, international factors, because of which now we have seen that there has been coercive measures which were applied against Imran Khan's political party, and as a result of which we have seen that now his party is contesting elections in an independent capacity, in their individual capacity. They are not, his party is not contesting election as a political party, legally speaking. But people of Pakistan know this, because this entire proposition which was built up by the policymakers within the military, that the people will get disappointed, they would not turn up on the polling stations, and then they would be able to easily manipulate elections in favor of the parties of their own choice. That now seems to be very challenging for the military once these elections are closed. Nonetheless, we have seen that there are reports of rigging in parts of Pakistan, but all we need to see what happens once the elections are closed. There are 90,000, more than 96,000 polling stations across Pakistan, in a country whose population is nearly 240 million. And out of 240 million, 120 million around the people are going to cast vote. If 60% among these voters, if they turn up on the polling station, I think that will be, politically speaking, it will be disaster for the military. Military wants to retain its hold on political affairs. And remember, under Pakistan's constitution, under the legal framework of Pakistan, military has no political role. It cannot interfere in the political affairs. But behind the scene, the military has perfected the art of controlling everything, controlling every official, every individual in judiciary who matters in decision making. So now it seems that perhaps it will be very difficult for the military to continue its hold, given the fact that there is now new generation in Pakistan, the younger generation, 65 to 70% of Pakistan's population is comprising of youngsters who are opposed to the military's political role, who are supporting Imran Khan. And I think now that is going to change the political calculation in Pakistan. It is a simply matter of time when it happens. You remember, in Pakistan there has been at least 5 military takeovers. 2 military takeovers happened by the last military dictator General Pervez Musharraf, and military dictator General Pervez Musharraf was sentenced to death, though he was not executed, and before long ago he died a natural death. But that also indicates that there is a resentment within Pakistan's political establishment. They don't want military to poke their nose into the political affairs. But military has also, it's also a big economic power in Pakistan. They have their businesses, and they fear that they would lose it if the political parties actually try to exercise their constitutionally given powers. Now, all political parties, particularly I'm talking about the major political parties, they have turned out to be, without any exception, power brokers. They are not political parties in the real sense, because they go for wheeling and dealing with the military. The military decide beforehand who should be elected and who should not be elected. So this is at the heart of Pakistan's problem. This is, I would call it, a social engineering. People do not trust that if they cast vote in favor of one particular party, will that be counted or not? And that is the bigger question we are facing. Let's see how things unfold once the pollings conclude. But my understanding, as the situation exists on the ground, it will be difficult for the military and military and secret services to manipulate elections, to rig elections in a manner they want, because they need to manipulate election at a large scale. They may be able to do so in remote regions where they have already suspended the internet connectivity and telephone servers. But in the urban areas, I have seen that there is a lot of political activities from the members of the and loyalists of Imran Khan. They are on the roads, they are sitting around the polling stations, and if they try to snatch these ballot boxes, particularly in the northwest of Pakistan, I fear there will be clashes and there could be mass unrest. Remember that the strongest hold of Imran Khan is Pakistan's northwestern region bordering with Afghanistan. And if there is any attempt to of going for some sort of rigging at a large scale, I think there could be a mass unrest. Let's hope that doesn't happen and the election concludes smoothly.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point and then as an enemy at the same time.
That is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geo-strategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geo-strategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.